Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is on September 7th, 2023. It's on Thursday, and sunny or cloudy outside. How are you spending Thursday? Do you have a work or a school today? Or have you got a day off today? When I was a university student, I used to schedule Thursday with light tasks, study, and so on. When I was in when I was in university, I used to schedule Thursday with light tasks. Little burden, and it worked in a week. When I was a university student, I used to schedule Thursday with a little burden and put more classes on Friday and other dates, and it worked in a week. When I was a university student, I used to schedule Thursday with a little burden and few classes. To have a rest, to rest my body for the next days in a week. What are you doing now? Are you working on your duty? If you are busy working on your duty now, I will call you. Please call me back later. Thank you, and sorry for the inconvenience. My disease is getting better and better thanks to the new medicine. The symptom of my disease, illness, is getting better, getting better and better. I tend to get nervous as the performance day approaches. The wind and rain are becoming stronger, getting stronger, turning stronger, growing stronger as the typhoon is approaching. As the typhoon approaches, the wind and rain will get stronger. Wind and rain are becoming stronger, turning stronger, getting stronger. It's being stronger as the typhoon is approaching. Japanese yen is dropping, which is very disappointing for me because it will work against me when I go to a foreign country. But those companies exporting Japanese goods to other countries might be beneficial now. Cheap Japanese yen mean more products will be sold. The leaves will turn red in autumn. When does the leaves start to turn red in your region? When do the leaves of the trees start to turn red, start to become red, start to get red? And when do the leaves of the trees start to become red in your region? It depends on the temperature, topography, heightness, and so on. The leaves are not turning red right now. The bird is coming out of the tree, of the branch. More and more people are noticing the truth behind the things. The heavy rain is being alleviated gradually. The heavy rain is being alleviated. The heavy rain is being relieved. The heavy rain is being alleviated. The heavy rain is being relieved. 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 It won't be very long before we go out of the shopping center. The rain is being relieved. It won't be long before we will go out because the rain is being alleviated. I'm currently staying in a guest house for a trip. I'm currently staying in a guest house for a trip. I'm currently focusing on my health and eating healthy food. I'm currently particular about what I eat for my health. I'm currently taking the course in the cram school for 30 weeks. I'm recently going to the fitness club after school. I'm recently commuting to the fitness club after school. I am recently commuting to the workplace on foot. I'm not sure how long I can keep working. I don't know. I'm not sure how long the custom will last. Let's see. We will see. I am recently walking to the school on foot, although I was always taking the bicycle for my health. I think either way will be healthy. Commuting by bike is also healthy for me, I think. I am recently commuting to the school on foot, not bike. I am recently commuting to the workplace on foot. I am recently commuting to the workplace by bike. I am recently commuting to the workplace by bicycle. I am recently commuting to the workplace by bike. I am recently focusing on eating healthy food. I am recently focusing myself on eating, drinking healthy food and drinks. I am recently trying to eat healthy food for my health. I am recently trying to eat healthy food. I am recently trying to eat natto, fermented soybeans, for my health. I am recently trying to eat healthy food for my health. There are always some employees who are always complaining about cheap salary, about people they don't like, family problems, and so on. There are always a couple of people who are always complaining about something. There are some people who are always eating meat and escape eating vegetables. There are always some people who are always eating only what they like and leave everything they don't like. Some people are always visiting the same restaurant for lunch. Some people are always eating the same lunch at the same place, at the same time, with the same coworkers, like a robot. I hate myself constantly making the same mistakes. I need to change something in me, otherwise I will keep making the same mistakes. I hate myself constantly making the same mistakes. I have to change something in me. Some people are constantly making the same mistakes because they never listen to others' advice, and they don't try to change something in them. That's why they are constantly making the same mistakes. Some people are always eating the same menu at the same restaurant at the same time with same coworkers, like robots. Some people are always talking about the same topics at the meeting or party with the same members. Some people are always complaining about the same things. Some people are always complaining about the same problems. Some people are always talking about the same things over and over again, time and time again. Some people are always talking about the same things all the time. Some people are always talking about the same things. Some people are always asking the same questions. Some people are aiming for dreams constantly. Some people are constantly aiming for their dreams. 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 Some people are eating only meat constantly. Some people are constantly eating only what they like. Some people are constantly eating only what they eat. Some people are constantly eating only what they eat. Some people are always complaining about something. Annoying people around them. Some people are always complaining about trivial things, which annoys people surrounding them. Around them. I'm currently studying with the textbook, which was recommended by my teacher. I am currently practicing the piece with the textbook. I am currently practicing the musical instrument with the textbook recommended by my teacher. I am currently practicing the piece and trying my fingers in order to improve my skills at the musical instrument with the information and textbooks recommended by some artists out there. I am currently focusing on eating healthy food for my health. I am currently passionate about maintaining my health by running outside. I am looking forward to feeling the refreshment after taking the shower, after exercising, you know. I want you to feel the refreshment too. It is said that physical and mental health are connected. So if we are ill physically, our mental tend to be ill, I guess, to a certain extent. So in order to become healthy mentally, it's important to exercise or try to be healthy physically too, I guess. I'm currently staying in a business hotel on business trip, and I'm in a shopping mall to search for something souvenir for my coworkers and families. Are you also in the prefecture? Oh, to my surprise. Oh, to our surprise, we are in the same shopping mall now. Please come to the food court. Let's have a dinner together. I'm currently staying in a business hotel on business trip. I'm currently staying in a business hotel on business trip. I am currently staying in a guest house. Whenever I go on a trip, I stay in a guest house in order to save my money. So as to save money, in an attempt to save money, in a bid to save money, in an attempt to save money, so as to save money, to save money. I am currently staying in a guest house for sightseeing. I am currently staying in my friend's house for sightseeing. I am currently staying in my friend's house. I am currently staying in my friend's house. Are you taking the flight departing from the airport at 11 o'clock a.m.? Are you taking the flight departing from the international airport at 9 o'clock a.m.? So what time are you leaving your house in order to be in time for the departure? 4 o'clock or 4:30? Are you leaving your house at 4:30? Are you taking the flight departing from the international airport at 11 o'clock a.m.? I am taking the flight departing from the airport at 11 o'clock a.m. I am going to Okinawa in August. I am going to Hokkaido in April. I am leaving my house at 5:30 a.m. in order to arrive at the international airport by noon. What time are you going to leave? What time are you going to leave? I am leaving my house at 5:30 a.m. So I will pick up a cup of coffee on the way because I am a coffee lover. And of course I will have the breakfast with the coffee because 5:30 is too early to have breakfast for me. I am taking the flight departing from the airport at 11 o'clock a.m. I am taking the flight departing from the international airport at 9 o'clock a.m. In order to arrive there in time, I am leaving my house at 4:30 a.m. It's too early, but I'm just in case I will leave super early. I liked physical education when I was a student. I liked physical education only when I was a student. Which subjects did you like when you were a student? Which academic subject did you like when you were a student? English, literature, mathematics, physics, science, homeroom activity, physical education, social studies, modern society, history. I was sick in bed yesterday. I was sick in bed yesterday. I was often sick in bed yesterday. I was sick in bed yesterday. I didn't go shopping yesterday. I didn't go shopping yesterday. I didn't go shopping yesterday. I used to go swimming every Wednesday when I was a kindergarten student. I used to go to swimming at the school when I was a kindergarten student, which was curriculum in the schedule of the kindergarten. I used to be forced to have a swimming class at the school every Wednesday, although I didn't like it. I didn't know how to dive into the water, so I was always suffering from the pain from the water. Do you know? I didn't know how to dive, so the water pressure was hitting my stomach, which was so painful. In order to avoid the water pressure, I needed to dive from my head, but I didn't know the technique, so I was always getting the painful of water pressure on my stomach, which was so painful. I still remember. I would often play video games late until at night, which I regret because I played video games at the expense of the time for study and other important things. I focused on my playing video games a lot. There were many more important things I should have done, but I kept playing video games. I was so into playing video games. Now I am paying the cost by studying hard in order to take back the losses, you know? I used to like mathematics before, but I don't like it now. I used to like mathematics until I graduated from high school, because I could get high scores on math tests, math examinations, which helped me to earn total scores of examinations, which are needed to enter universities. But after entering universities, the theory was more put importance on, which made me confusing. So I started to hate mathematics or physics. I used to commute to the school by train. I used to commute to the school by train. I used to commute to the junior high school by bike. I used to commute to the junior high school by bike. I used to commute to the junior high school by bike. I used to commute to the school by ferry. I used to commute to the school by bus. How did you commute to your school when you were a student? How do you commute to your school? On foot? By train? Bus? Ferry? Plane? Or by bike? Or can you take the lesson from your home? I would often enjoy throwing flat stones in the river to enjoy how many times I could make it step. I would often enjoy throwing flat stones into the river to count or to see how many times the stone steps. I would often enjoy throwing the flat stones into the river to see how many times the stones step on the surface of the river. I would often enjoy throwing flat stones into the river to see how many times the stones stepped. I would often enjoy throwing flat stones into the river to see how many times the stones could step on the surface of the river, which was so fun. It's been a while I last threw the flat stones into the river. I'd like to do that with my friends in the near future. Have you thrown the flat stones into the river to see how many times the stones could step? Which is very fun for me. I hope I can throw stones as well as before, but I haven't thrown stones for a while. Maybe I'm dull now. My mother often warned me not to go further when I was swimming in the sea. My mother often warned me not to go far away when I was swimming in the sea. My mother often warned me not to go further beyond the area where I could stand on the sand. She often warned me that the sea water would engulf me easily. She often warned me that the sea water would engulf me easily. I was often taken care of at the hospital for diseases, injuries, and so on. I was often treated at the hospital. Now the hospital was relocated to another place though. Please look at the hospital. I was often treated at the hospital when I was a student for some diseases, injuries, and so on. But it was relocated to the new place. The building is vacant now. The city is discussing how it should be utilized, but it's being kept vacant. When the earthquake occurred, I was walking on the walkway and I saw some tourists crying, shouting, screaming. When the earthquake came about, aroused, I was walking on the walkway. When the earthquake occurred, I was walking along the street. Walkway. What were you doing when the earthquake occurred? Everybody around me remember what they were doing when the earthquake occurred. Everybody around me recall what they were doing when the earthquake occurred. My disease was getting worse and worse when I went to the hospital for the medical treatment. Thanks to the new medicine, the symptom is being alleviated gradually. My symptom from the disease was getting worse day by day before I went to the hospital. The symptom from my disease was getting worse. So I went to the huge hospital to have my disease treated. And thanks to the new medicine and the advice from the doctor, my disease is being alleviated gradually, but not completely yet, not treated perfectly yet. The water level was increasing, and which was about to overflow from the riverbank. when the typhoon was striking the area. But hopefully it didn't overflow. It didn't go beyond the bank. Fortunately. More and more people were waiting in the queue in front of the restaurant during the noon. More and more customers were starting to wait in the queue in front of the restaurant. The wind and rain were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. The wind and rain were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. The Tokyo Skytree Tower was being completed almost before I left there. The Tokyo Skytree was being completed almost completed when I left the place in 2011 or the early 2012. The Tokyo Skytree Tower was being almost completed before I left there. The pile of tasks were almost completed, dealt with the superhero employee by the time we got there on the next day. He did it overnight, so we appreciated it, and we all thanked him for the superhero time. The heap of tasks were almost being completed by the superhero employee by the time we arrived at the workplace on the next morning. He was doing that, he was dealing with that, he was dealing with the pile of tasks overnight. We were running short of the gas until we got to the petroleum station, gas station. We were running out of the gas before we arrived at the gas station. We were about to run short of the gas in our car, but fortunately we managed to get to the gas station before it exhausted. I was running short of the medicine I need for my disease by the end of the year. But fortunately, I could manage to have the precautions refilled before the hospital entered the New Year's Day office. I was running short of the medicine which I needed for my diseases. I was running out of the medicine I needed for my disease by on the New Year's Eve in the end of the year, but fortunately I managed to get the precaution refilled before the hospital entered the office. The number of foreign tourists had been increasing until the pandemic started. The number of foreign tourists was increasing. The number of foreign tourists had been increasing until the pandemic started. When it comes to, in terms of 2019, the number of foreign tourists was getting increased, was increasing. The wind and rain were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. The wind and rain were getting stronger, becoming stronger, turning stronger, growing stronger, being stronger as the typhoon approached. Both rain and wind were being stronger as the typhoon approached. The water level was increasing as the rain continued. The water level was about to overflow as it kept raining. The water level was increasing as it kept raining. The water level was increasing almost beyond the bank fence as it kept raining. I was almost completing all of the questions of the test when the time was over. My disease was getting better at that time. This time last year, my disease was getting better. This time last year, my disease was getting worse. Both wind and rain were getting stronger, becoming stronger, turning stronger, growing stronger, being stronger as typhoons approached. I felt both the rain and the wind getting stronger as the typhoon approached. Both the rain and both the rain and wind were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. As the typhoon approached, both the rain and wind were getting stronger. I felt it. Everything was getting higher in those days. Everything was getting higher in those days. The, the genre of the music was gaining popularity in those days. The genre of the music was gaining popularity in those days. The company was recovering from the recession in those days. Many companies were recovering from the recession in those days. The company was recovering from the recession on the day, in those days. They were on the way. The company was recovering from the recession and is still on the way. The particular field of the job was losing popularity gradually. People's interest in the particular job was being lost with time. The majority's interest in the job was being lost with time. The majority's interest in the particular field of the job was being lost gradually with time. More and more people were losing interest in objective things. More and more people were rushing to buy masks and toilet paper 2 years ago during the pandemic. More and more people were trying to buy toilet paper and masks 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago, yes. More and more, many people were trying to get toilet paper, tissue paper, or masks 3 years ago during the pandemic. Many people were trying to buy masks 3 years ago. Many people were rushing to buy masks 3 years ago. Many people were buying masks 3 years ago. Both the wind and rain were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. Both the rain and wind were getting stronger as the typhoon approached. I would often play video games when I was a kid, which I regret now. I was often playing video games when I was a kid. I was often playing video games only, being negligent at studying, which I super regret. I'm paying the cost now by studying hard. I was often going to the fitness club, being negligent at present at class when I was a student. I was often skipping the class. Some students were always skipping the classes they didn't like to take. There were some students in the university who were always skipping the subjects of the class of the subjects they didn't like to take. There were some students who were always skipping classes, ended up dropping out of the school. There were some students who were always skipping certain classes they didn't like to take according to their mood. There was an employee who was always complaining about something. There was a person who was always complaining. There was a person who was always complaining. There were some people who were always complaining about something. There were a couple of people who were always complaining even on the street. I was often eating meat in those days. I was often making time for my study by rejecting invitation from my friends to focus on my passion. I was often rejecting invitation from my friends in order to focus on my interest in those days. I was often staying in a guest house for my travel in those days. I was often staying in a cheap guest house in order to save my money during the trip. I was often staying in a reasonable guest house for my trip. I was often staying in a reasonable guest house or hostel in order to save my money during the trip. I was often staying in guest houses or hostels so as to save money during my trip. I was asking many questions to my foreign student, and so continuously enough to make him angry or irritated because I was so passionate about studying English. I was always asking some questions about English to the foreign student who were fluent in English. I was often asking some questions to the teacher about how I can be as fluent as native speakers, tips, advice, and so on. I was often asking the English teacher about the tips for learning English effectively after class. I was often asking my English teacher some tips for learning English effectively. I was often asking my English teacher some tips for learning English effectively after class. I was often asking my English teacher the tips for learning English effectively after class. I was often staying in guest houses or hostels in order to save my money during the trip. I was often staying in hostels or guest houses, which was very fun. There were always friendly other guests from other countries, which was very fun to talk with them. I was being so obstinate at that time. I was being obstinate. I was being stubborn at that time, rejecting reading books at all. But I try to read books now. I was often cherished my own time in order to focus on my passion, study, and so on. I was often cherishing my own time in those days by rejecting invitations from my friends and so on. I was ordering the same menu at the school cafe every day in those days. I was always ordering the same menu at the school cafe every day. I was always ordering the same menu at the school cafe every day. I was always ordering the same menu. 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 I was stopping by nowhere on my way home in those days. I was stopping by many shops on my way in those days. I was stopping by many shops on my way from school, and to school. I was stopping by many shops on my way from and to school in those days. I was often stopping by second-hand shop, miscellaneous shops on my way to and from school in those days after school. I was often stopping by some shops on my way home after school. I was often stopping by some shops on my way home after school. I was often dropping by some shops after school on my way home. But because it was easier to enter shops on foot, because I was committing to the school on foot, that's why. But I try not to enter and go home straight in order to work on my study. I'm currently staying in a business hotel on a business trip, and I'm shopping in the shopping mall. I'm currently staying in a business hotel. I'm leaving my house at 4:30 in time for the departure of the plane. I'm leaving my house at 4:30 a.m. in order to be in time for the departure of the flight. I easy to get nervous. I worry too much at everything, so I tend to prepare too much. So when it comes to the flight, I tend to arrive at the airport super earlier, maybe 3 hours before the departure. I did put away the belongings into the coin locker, but I cannot find it. Some of us have stolen it. I did deposit my belongings in the coin locker, but I cannot find it. Someone must have stolen it. I did put the pencil in my pen case. Everybody around me remembers what they were doing when the earthquake occurred. Please do me a favor. Please do me a favor. It's okay if you cannot, but could you lend me your comb? It's okay if you if it is inconvenient for you, but may I drop in on you tonight? Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word with you privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Because I'd like to have a word privately with you. Please do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Could you do me a favor? Can you do me a favor? Can I ask a favor of you? Can I ask you a favor? 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 Can I ask a favor of you? Please do me a favor. 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 May I drop in on you tonight? Because I'd like to have a word with privately tonight. Please do me a favor. Could you lend me 10,000 yen? I will return it to you next week. And there is a thing I'd like to buy. Why don't you have 10,000 yen at least? What did you spend for before you get salary? Don't try not to use up all of your salary before you get it again next time. Please do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Could you give me a ride to Narita Station? Could you give me a ride from Narita Station to the Tokyo Station? Thank you for giving me a ride to the hotel. I really appreciate it. I really thank you for that. Thank you for giving me a ride to the hotel in downtown of Tokyo. Thank you for giving us a ride to the hotel from the airport. Thank you for giving us a ride to the hotel from the Narita airport. Please do me a favor. Could you give us a ride to the hotel from the Kansai International Airport? Excuse me, could you give me a ride to the hotel from the tourist spot? Please do me a favor. It's okay if you cannot and if it is inconvenient for you, but could you pick me up at the 5th floor of the Mount Fuji? The congestion will be expected, so I don't like to take the bus. Could you give me a ride to Mount Fuji? Could you give me a ride to the 5th floor of the Mount Fuji? Could you give us a ride to the 5th floor of the Mount Fuji? 5th floor of the Mount Fuji. Please do us a favor. Could you give us a ride to the 5th floor of the Mount Fuji? The 5th floor of the Mount Fuji. Sure. Be my guest. Great. Sorry, I cannot because I have my hands full right now. I have my hands full. I have my hands full. I have my hands full right now. I'm sorry, I cannot because I have my hands full right now. I have my hands full right now. My parents are always tied up. My parent is 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 always tied up with work. I'm sorry if you are tied up, but can I ask a question? Which color do you like? I'm sorry if you are tied up, but please do me a favor. I'm in an emergency. I got a flat tire and I don't know what to do. I'm sorry if you are tied up, but can I make an order now? I'm sorry if you are tied up, but our boss and our boss would like to have a word with you privately. So could you go to the meeting room A? My parent is always tied up with work. My parent is always tied up. My parent is always tied up. My parent is always tied up with work. My parent is always tied up. My parent is always have their hands full all the time. My parent is always busy with work. My parent always have their hands full. My parent always has their hands full, tied up. My parent always has their hands full. I have my hands full. I have my hands full right now. I have my hands full right now. Sorry. I'm tied up now. I cannot help you. I'm sorry, I'm super tied up now. I'll get back to you later. I'm super tied up now. I will get back to you later. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm super tied up. I will get back to you. I will call you back. I will message you back. Be right back. I'll be back. I'm sorry, I'm super tied up. I'm tied up now. I will message you back. I will call you back. I will message you back. I will reply you later. I will call you back. I will get back to you. I will get back to you. I will get back to you. So much for the chatters. Let's get down to the main work, okay? My parent is always tied up. The restaurant is always tied up. The restaurant is always tied up, even during the weekends, after lunchtime. The restaurant is always tied up, even during the 3 o'clock p.m. The restaurant is always tied up. The amusement park is always tied up. The restaurant is always tied up, especially during the lunchtime. The restaurant is always tied up. 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 The staff working in the food court is always tied up. The staff working in the food court seems to be always tied up. Whenever I go to the food court, the staff working there seem to be always tied up. Whenever I go to the food court of the shopping mall, the staff working there seem to be always tied up. And whenever I go to the shopping mall, the staff working in the food court seems to be always tied up. Whenever I go to the shopping mall, the staff working in the food court seem to be always tied up. Tied up. Are there train lines always tied up? Because I'd like to escape from the congestion, crowds, herd of people, and so on. The amusement park is tied up, always. No matter when you go to the amusement park, you will find it tied up. No matter when you go to the amusement park, no matter when, no matter what time you go to the amusement park, you will find it tied up all the time, crowded with the visitors, tourists, whatever, whatsoever, whatever it is. Whenever, no matter when you go to the amusement park, you will find it tied up, crowded, congested, filled with, packed with. Oh my god. It was 30 minutes after the promised time that he finally showed up. It wasn't until 3 minutes later than the promised time that he finally turned up. And as usual, he tried to fabricate a false excuse. His false excuse is obvious. It wasn't until 30 minutes later than promised time that she finally turned up. As usual, she tried to make up a fake story to create the excuse. As usual, she attempted to fabricate a false excuse. It wasn't under 30 minutes later than promised time, without any messages, that he finally showed up. As usual, he attempted to fabricate a fake cause, fake excuse. It wasn't until 30 minutes later than the promised time that he finally, in the end, ultimately showed up. And as usual, he was trying to fabricate a fake excuse. Being punctual is an essential part as a business person. Being punctual is an essential part of human. Being punctual is an essential part as a business person. Being punctual is an essential element, feature, part as a business person. Being punctual is an essential part as a business person. The other day, I came across an old friend of mine. The other day, I came up with a good idea to secure the object on the wall with the tools I already have. The other day I came up with a good idea to fix the object on the wall with the tools I already have. The other day I made a purchase of the product at the online store and it arrived yesterday. The other day I made a purchase of the product through online a few days ago and it arrived yesterday. Some people run out of their salaries before they get the next one. Some people run out of all of the salary before they get on the next month. In the next month. Some salaried workers use up all of their salary before they get the next one. Are you running out of the ideas for your videos? Are you running out of the ideas for your videos? Are you running short of ideas for your videos? Are you always trying to run short of all of the foreign currencies by the time you go back? Do you usually try to run out of all of the foreign currencies in a foreign country when you are on vacation before you go back? Do you usually use up all of the foreign currencies you exchanged for sightseeing before you go home? Do you usually run out of all of the foreign currencies in a foreign country before you go home? My energy easy to run out. And thanks to the new battery, the machine can last longer. We are running short of sugar and salt. We have to get new ones. I usually buy many things and have a bulk shopping at once so that the ingredients will not run out suddenly. Run out. Before the ingredients in my refrigerator run short, I tend to buy a lot. I tend to have a bulk shop at the supermarket. I tend to have a bulk shop before the ingredients in my refrigerator will run short. We cannot be too careful when we drive a car in the interstate. We cannot be too careful when we drive a car on the interstate. You cannot be too careful when you drive your car in the interstate. I was surprised at the huge scale of the interstate. I was taken by surprise by the size and the number of lanes in the interstate. I was astonished at the number of lanes in the interstate. I was stunned by the number of car lanes in the interstate. 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 Interstellar sounds similar. I often confuse the sound of the interstate with interstellar. Sounds very similar for me, which is confusing for me. I am often confused about the sound difference between interstate and interstellar. Interstate, 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 interstate. I was taken by surprise by the number of car lanes in the interstate. I was astonished by the number of car lanes in the interstate. How many car lanes exist there? I couldn't even count how many car lanes are there. I even couldn't count how many car lanes were there. I couldn't count how many car lanes there were. Interstate, 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 interstate. Interstate. Interstate, interstate, interstate. I was astonished at the number of car lanes in the interstate. I was surprised at the number of car lanes in the interstate. The tips for turning okonomiyaki over is to heat the one side enough, which will make it easier to turn it over. But heating too much is not also good. Do you like to turn okonomiyaki over? Do you like to turn over okonomiyaki? Cooking okonomiyaki on the iron plate itself so fun for some people. Or do you prefer to have it cooked by the staff? Which do you prefer? Cook okonomiyaki on the iron plate yourself, or have it cooked, get it cooked by the staff? I saw the car driving in front of me skidded on the icy road. I also skidded. I saw the car running in front of me skidded on the icy road. The car skidded. 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 The car running in front of me skidded. I saw car in front of me skidded. Skidding. I saw a car in front of me skidding. I saw a car running in front of me skidding. I saw a car skidding on the icy road. I saw a car running in front of me skidding. I saw a car running in front of me skidding. I saw a car skidding. The car skidded. 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 The car slipped. The car skidded. The car slipped. The car skidded. The car slipped. I saw a car skidding, not skipping. If the car skipped, it would be awesome, surprising. It would be surprising. The car skidded. 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 I saw a car skidding. I saw a car skidding. I saw a car skidding. The car skidded. The car driving ahead of me skidded on the icy road, but it was not lead to accident, just skidded a little. I saw a car skidding in front of me. The car driving ahead of me skidded, but fortunately it didn't lead to an accident, just skidded a little on the icy road. Can you turn over in the air? Can you turn over in the air and successfully land on the land? Successfully land. Can you turn it over? Can you turn over in the air and successfully land? Can you turn over and successfully land? Can you turn over once? How many times can you turn over in the air on the trampoline? How many times can you turn over in the air on the trampoline by jumping on the trampoline? How many times can you turn over in the air on the trampoline? I saw a specialized vehicle scattering soil on the road when I went to the countryside. Are the drones available to sprinkle water from the sky onto the paddy field? Are the drones who scatter seeds or water available already? Have the drones scattering the seeds or water available already? Have the drones scattering the seeds or water from the sky been available already? Have the drones sprinkling or scattering the seeds from the sky been available? Have the drones scattering the seeds or water from the sky been available already? I'd like to know if the drones scattering the seeds or water from the sky for the harvesting has been already available. I'd like to know if the drones scattering seeds or water or something like that related to the farming and being available already. I'd like to know whether the drones scattering the seeds or water from the sky have been available already. I'd like to know whether the drones scattering the seeds or water from the sky have been available already, and have they been utilized already? Have they been utilized already? Have they been utilized? Have they been utilized already? As soon as the police officers arrived, the hooligans scattered. As soon as the police officers arrived, the hooligans scattered. As soon as a bomb explosion was heard, the visitors scattered. As soon as the incident happened, the visitors scattered. As soon as the movie finished, the audience scattered. As soon as the movie finished, the audience scattered. As soon as the game finished, the audience scattered. I wonder how the ship is withstanding the weight of the load. It's huge load. Numerous containers of load. Numerous number of containers of load. The load consists of numerous number of containers covered with iron. So I wonder how the ship is supporting the weight of such load. Loading the car with potato chips. Loading the bag with candy. For my throat. Would you mind helping me to set up the table? Sure. Be my guest. Load. I often wonder how the ship is supporting the weight of the load consisting of numerous number of iron containers. I often wonder how the ship is supporting the weight of the load consisting of the numerous number of iron containers, numerous number of iron plates on the ship. I often wonder how the ship is supporting the weight of the load consisting of the numerous number of iron containers. It's so huge, enormous. Load. I sometimes see car accidents between the normal car and specialized vehicle with a lot of products, and the products are scattered all over the road. I sometimes watch car accidents between specialized cars with a lot of products, and they are scattered all over the road. Road. I cannot recall my past without getting depressed. Can it be said to you too? I can recall my adolescence past, especially in my teens, without I get depression. I get depressed. I get into depression. I go into depression. My mother often told me into studying so hard. And my mother often frequently told me into studying. Recall. Whenever I recall my adolescence, I get depressed. I tend to be pessimistic. Whenever I recall my adolescence, I get into depression. Whenever I recall my adolescence, I get into depression. I get depressed. I become depressed. I'm depressed. I turn depressed. I grow depressed. As long as I see, as far as I see, the email is nothing but a sheer scamming. As far as I see, the email is none other than a sheer scamming. Don't touch it. Just delete it. Or sort it out to the scamming folder. Sort it out to the scamming folder and delete it, and keep rejecting the advertisement from the email address for good. sort it out to the scanning folder, and of course set the email address at the rejecting one, and then you won't get it again. As far as I see, the email is nothing but a sheer scamming. As far as I see, the email is none other than a sheer false scamming, fraudulent fraud. What you have said is sheer lie, because we have the evidence already. It's obvious. It is evident. Clear cut. What you have said is a sheer lie. 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 Sheer lie. What you have said is a sheer lie. Sheer, 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 sheer. What you have said is a sheer lie. The business is a sheer fraud. The business conducted by the company was a sheer fraud. It turned out to be. The business which had been conducted by the company turned out to be a sheer fraud. The business which had been conducted by the company turned out to be a sheer fraud. The business which had been conducted by the company proved to be a sheer fraud. In case of emergency, I call you. In case of emergency, who will call you? Your mother? In case of emergency, who will you call? In case of you hitting the lottery, how will you react? I bought the flashlight in case of blackout. I bought some flashlights, 2 sets of flashlights, in case of power outage during the typhoon. During the power outage, I couldn't get in touch with my friends. During the power outage, I couldn't get in touch with my friends, teachers, acquaintances, relatives, cousins, and so on. But soon it was recovered by the utility company. If the document is submitted by the agent, you need to get your sign stamped on the document to show that you accepted it. You have accepted it. If an agent submits a document on behalf of you, you have to fill in the blank. If an agent submits a document on behalf of you, you have to accept and fill in the vacant blank and stamp on it to show that you have accepted it. If an agent submits a document on behalf of you, you have to sign and fill in the blank below and stamp on it to show that you have accepted it. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you!